Greetings. Greetings and welcome to another day of Storytime with Dr. Tinsley. I hope all is doing well. This is Marvelous Monday, and we've been bringing stories to you every day at 5 o'clock for over a month to support children during the school shutdown. Today will be the last day of me reading 2 books. I'm going to start reading 1 book because, frankly, I'm going to run out of books. So, I don't have an unlimited supply here. I've given away many of my children's books to my grandchildren. Anyway, I hope all is doing well today and everyone's having a great day. The sun is shining and we were all blessed to wake up and see another day. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine in the stories that I read every day. So, again, I'm gonna read 2 stories today, and starting tomorrow, I'll read 1. So the first story is called The Pot That Juan Built, and it is by Nancy Andrews Goebel. The Pot That Juan Built. The Pot That Juan Built. Excuse me. This is the pot that Juan built. Juan Guaceda was born in Santa Barbara, Toluca, Mexico in 1940. When he was 1 year old, his family moved to Mata Ortiz, a village of dirt roads and adobe houses on the wind-swept plains of Chihuahua. It was there that Juan rediscovered the pottery-making process of the Casas Grandes people who had vanished from that part of Mexico 600 years ago. These are the flames so sizzling hot, flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. Juan became a professional potter in the 1970s. Before that, he worked as a farm laborer, a railroad hand, a sharecropper, and even a boxer. He had never been afraid of hard work and takes pride in using prehistoric methods and natural materials in his pottery making. Juan taught 8 of his 10 brothers and sisters and many of his neighbors how to make pots. They all developed their own special styles. Juan's discovery changed Mata Ortiz from an impoverished village of poorly paid laborers into a prosperous community of working artists. These are the cows, all white and brown, that left manure all over the ground, that fueled the flame so sizzling hot, that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. Juan's pottery is fired the traditional way, using dried cow manure for fuel. He gathers manure in the cattle range that surrounds the village of Mata Ortiz. In his experiments, Juan learned that manure from cows that eat grass, rather than commercial feed, burns at the best temperature to turn his clay pots into perfectly fired works of art. This is the brush of hair from his head that spreads the paint all black and red, that color the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. Juan makes paint out of local minerals such as black manganese and red iron oxide. He makes paintbrushes from human hair. He says that some of his best brushes are fashioned from children's hair, especially his granddaughters. Since very little hair is used to make a paintbrush, no one minds giving Juan just a snip to design a pot. These are the racks of red and black brought down from the mountain on burro back to make into paint all black and red, spread with the brush of hair from his head, that color the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. When he was 12 years old, while bringing firewood down from the hills on his burro, Juan found his first pot sherds. They were pieces of broken pottery from the ancient Casas Grandes city of Pequín, which was located 15 miles from present-day Mata Ortiz. The pot sherds inspired Juan to create something similar. Even though he had never seen a potter at work, Juan began experimenting with local materials. His mother declared that he was always covered in dirt of many colors from his experiments with minerals and clay. This is the tool that's made out of bone that rubbed the pot until it shone, and glittered and glowed and glistened and glimmered, and gleamed and beamed and sparkled and shimmered, to show off the paints all black and red, spread with the brush of hair from his head, that colored the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan made. After his clay pots dry, Juan polishes them before he applies the paint. To polish his pots, Juan uses animal bones, smooth stones, and even dry beans. Animal bones are abundant because of the deer hunting and cattle ranching that help feed the people of Mata Ortiz. Smooth stones are available in the Palaganes River, which runs along the eastern boundary of town. Of course, dried beans can be found in any kitchen in the village. Here's the tortilla, slap, slap, pat, pat, and the sausage of clay so slick and fat that became the pot, imagine that, in the wink of an eye and the blink of a cat. Before it was rubbed with a piece of bone over and over until it shone. To show off the paints all black and red, spread with the brush of hair from his head, that colored the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. Juan hand builds all his pots. He begins by patting out a flat piece of clay he calls a tortilla, which becomes the bottom of the pot. He then rolls out a sausage-shaped piece of clay called a chorizo and presses it onto the edge of the tortilla, pinching and pulling it up to become the walls of the pot. Juan makes his pots in a small workroom behind his house, often in the company of chickens and his calico cat. This is the city, all squishy and white, dug in the hills from morning till night, to make the tortilla slap, slap, pat, pat, and the sausage of clay so slick and fat. That became the pot, imagine that, in the wink of an eye and the blink of a cat. Before it was rubbed with a piece of bone over and over until it shone. To show off the paint, saw black and red, spread with the brush of hair from his head. That colored the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so hizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. Juan says his painted designs look best on barro blanco, a pure white clay he digs in the Sierra Madre Mountains above Mata Ortiz. He uses the ancient designs of Casas Grandes potters for inspiration, but he doesn't copy them. Juan never plans the decoration in advance. He lets the pattern develop as he paints it onto the clay pot. These are the ants that led the way and showed Juan a vein of special clay. The very best clay, all squishy and white, dug in the hills from morning till night. To make the tortilla, slap, slap, pat, pat, and the sausage of clay so slick and fat. That became the pot, imagine that, in the wink of an eye and the blink of a cat. Before it was rubbed with a piece of bone, over and over until it shone. To show off the paint, saw black and red, spread with a brush of hair from his head. That colored the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot, the beautiful pot that Juan built. One day, while Juan was out searching for minerals and clay, he noticed a colony of ants burdened with tiny cargoes of white material. Looking closely, Juan realized that the ants were transporting bits of clay from underground up to the edge of their anthill. So Juan dug a hole near an anthill and unearthed a vein of white clay, the finest clay he had ever seen. This is the cock that crowed at dawn that greeted the village and woke up Juan. To ride the range at break of day, gathering rocks and hunting for clay. The very best clay, all squishy and white, dug in the hills from morning till night. To make the tortilla, slap, slap, pat, pat, and the sausage of clay so slick and fat. That became the pot, imagine that, in the wink of an eye and the blink of a cat. Before it was rubbed with a piece of bone over and over until it shone. To show off the paint, saw black and red, spread with the brush of hair from his head. That colored the pot for all to admire before it was baked in the cow manure fire. The crackling flame so sizzling hot that flickered and flared and fired the pot. Juan gave away his first pots as gifts to family and friends. Today his work is exhibited in museums and art galleries all over the world. In 1999, Mexico's president, Ernesto Zedillo, presented Juan with the National Arts and Science Award, the highest honor for any artist in Mexico. Pope John Paul II received a Juan Quesada pot as a gift from the people of Mexico. In spite of his fame and wealth, Juan cherishes most of all the time he spends in solitude, exploring the hills above Mata Ortiz in search of minerals and clay. If he is very quiet, Juan says, the voices of the ancient potters can still be heard. And then in the back, the beautiful pot that Juan built. And that is the pot that Juan built. And in the back, they give you a lot of information about Juan. This is a true story. And then they give you a lot of information about pottery. So it's a very informative book, the pot that Juan built. Hello, Catherine. Yes, I'm running out of books. Hi, Aunt Carol. Hi, Kamika. And hi, Valerie and Olivia. I don't know why you couldn't get on, but I'm glad you're on. So I shared in the beginning, today's going to be my last day reading 2 books because I'm running out of books and I want to try to support children as long as I can during the school shutdown. So the second book I'm going to read is The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn. The Kissing Hand. Chester Raccoon stood at the edge of the forest and cried, "I don't want to go to school," he told his mother. "I want to stay home with you. I want to play with my friends and play with my toys and read my books and swing on my swing. Please, may I stay home with you?" Mrs. Raccoon took Chester by the hand and nuzzled him on the ear. "Sometimes we all have to do things we don't want to do," she told him gently, "even if they seem strange and scary at first. But you will love school once you start." "You'll make new friends and play with new toys, read new books and swing on new swings. Besides," she added, "I know a wonderful secret that will make your nights at school seem as warm and cozy as your days at home." Chester wiped away his tears and looked interested. "A secret? What kind of secret?" "A very old secret," said Mrs. Raccoon. "I learned it from my mother, and she learned it from hers. It's called the kissing hand." "The kissing hand?" asked Chester. "What's that?" "I'll show you." Mrs. Raccoon took Chester's left hand and spread open his tiny fingers into a fan. Leaning forward, she kissed Chester right in the middle of his palm. Chester felt his mother's kiss rush from his hand, up his arm, and into his heart. Even his silky black neck tingled with the special warmth. Even his silky black mask tingled with the special warmth. Mrs. Raccoon smiled. "Now," she told Chester, "whenever you feel lonely and need a little loving from home, just press your cheek, just press your hand to your cheek and think, 'Mommy loves you, Mommy loves you.' And that very kiss will jump to your face and fill you with toasty, warm thoughts." Excuse me. She took Chester's hand and carefully wrapped his fingers around the kiss. "Now do be careful not to lose it," she teased him. "But don't worry. When you open your hand and wash your food, I promise the kiss will stick." Chester loved his kissing hand. Now he knew his mother's love would go with him wherever he went, even to school. That night, Chester stood in front of his school and looked thoughtful. Suddenly turned to his mother and grinned. "Give me your hand," he told her. Chester took his mother's hand in his own and unfolded her large familiar fingers into a fan. Next, he leaned forward and kissed the center of her hand. Now you have a kissing hand too, he told her. And with a gentle goodbye and I love you, Chester turned and danced away. Mrs. Raccoon watched Chester scamper across a tree limb and enter school. And as the hoot owl rang in the new school year, she pressed her left hand to her cheek and smiled. The warmth of Chester's kiss filled her heart with special words. Chester loves you, it sang. Chester loves you. And that, my dear, is the story of the kissing hand. It just shows you take love with you everywhere you go. It's in your heart. So with that said, I hope all has a great day. I hope you enjoyed the stories today. And you're welcome, Kamika. Hope you enjoyed the stories today. And I hope everyone's staying well and staying in and being careful and being safe and following good guidance. And to the children, when your parents tell you to stay in, it's for a good cause. So be creative in the house and find all types of interesting things to do. If you have siblings or brothers and sisters, cousins in the house with you that are quarantined with you, you can play games with them, read stories, play concentration, do crossword puzzles, whatever works. And so be well, stay in, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Hi, Aunt Marlene, and peace.